Okay, student. This is the second part of my lecture on John Hick. I am so sorry we got disconnected just now because of technical issue. My laptop lack of battery, so I had to restart the recording. All right, so let's go to the slides to continue our discussion on John Hick just now. Um, So I stopped at the point where uh, I, I was explaining how John Hick make use of mysticism or relied upon mysticism to justify his idea of uh, religious pluralism. Okay, let's go to his another justification on the use of the philosophy of religious pluralism, on the viability of the philosophy of religious pluralism. So for this argument, John Hick used linguistic argument. Uh, he refers to Ludwig Wittgenstein's idea of family resemblance concept. Yeah? This is incorporated or embedded in Wittgenstein's idea of language game. So according to Wittgenstein, the concept of religion uh, encompasses different traditions. So it's like religion is the umbrella term for all the religions in its different names. So you have the word religion that represent Christianity, Islam, Hinduism, Buddhism, so on and so forth. So these differences are only uh, linguistic issues. Yeah, a problem of language rather than a problem of content, a problem of belief in that manner. So it's just a matter of how people acknowledge God in his own context, in his own tradition, in his own history, yeah, in his own background. So therefore, according to Hick, you'll find the Jews give different name to a god, that is Yahweh. And the Hindus, for example, has also called his god in different terms, the Brahman, or maybe the Atman, yeah, the highest soul, and so on and so forth with regard to Christianity, Buddhism, and Islam. So these differences are actually a matter of uh, different languages that men use, so it is not that subtle, and it happens because language is one of the ways for men to um, manifest his understanding, to formulate his interpretation of a certain concept. All right, so I think we have arrived to the last point which I want to highlight with regard to John Hick's conception or formulation of religious pluralism, and we are going to discuss this further in our consultation later. Okay, but before I end, let me highlight three important perspectives that altogether uh, shapes Hick's philosophical formulation of religious pluralism. All right. So, you know, the five points that I have discussed in my lectures today refers to these three perspectives. The first perspective, the first concept, the first ideas that became the premise of Hick's idea of pluralism, religious pluralism, is on the theory, on the sociological theory of religion. That religion is a social construct. Yeah. So this is his premise, first one. The second promise is he uses, or he used theology, yeah, theological foundation in understanding religions or diversity of religions, and that is very much represented by his conception of salvation. Salvation is a theological concept, and he uses this concept as a premise to propagate, to promote his idea of religious pluralism, as we have discussed, or as I have explained earlier, in the context of transformation from self-centeredness to God-centeredness, Ptolemaic to Copernicus, yeah, noumenon, phenomenon, the real with small r to the real with capital R. So this is second. And the third uh, ideas or conception that he relied upon to propagate his idea of religious pluralism is mysticism. Yeah, mysticism. And as I have deliberated earlier, that Hick was not a mystic. He was a philosopher. So he had to depend on the works of mystics, especially from the Muslims and the Christians, to substantiate or to legitimize his idea of religious pluralism. All right, students, so I think that's about it with regard to John Hick and religious pluralism. Inshallah, we are going to discuss these 5 ideas in details in our consultation later. See you inshallah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.